One of the most challenging and also underrated aspects of intimacy and making a relationship work is communication. At the same time, we all know how communication can be really a difficult place and how easily we can get entangled in discussions and arguments and back and forth. So finding a way where you can really hear each other and listen to each other and really share what's on your mind is maybe one of the most supporting things you can do for your relationship, and it's really a place that fosters intimacy and creating a relationship that's nourishing. So that's why I want to share a practice with you that I've been using in my own relationships and been practicing and teaching to people for almost 20 years. And is really something that helps you both to kind of slow down the process and give clear enough roles in communication that it doesn't go into place of just discussion or arguments. So first I will show you how the practice works and then also share some more additional ideas how you can use it. So this practice is efficient because it breaks down the different elements of communication into simple steps that you can follow. And in this way, it helps you to get into a communication where there is enough safety so that you can really show up with what's important for you, but it also creates enough flow that it really brings an exchange of connection and intimacy into the communication. So it's very simple. And it has a few basic steps to follow. So the first one is that you and your partner, and you can do this in an intimate relationship, but you can also do this with any other partner or friend that you want to get deeper into contact with each other. So the first step is that you find a place to sit with each other, and it's good if you can really sit upright. You don't have to be rigid, but it's a place where you can really show that you're attentive and that you're present and you're willing to listen and give time to each other. And then you ideally sit some distance apart so that you're not too far but also not too close, so that you really feel that you're sitting in your own space. Once you have those spaces established, it's important that before you start you agree on the time frame that you want to give to this practice. In the beginning, I would suggest that you do a minimum of 20 minutes. And also I would suggest to do alternations of speaking and listening every 5 minutes. So in this way, you would both speak 2 times 5 minutes and also listen 2 times 5 minutes. It's also good if you already agree who is the timekeeper. So that is kind of the masculine practice in this structure to keep the time, and it helps to maybe set the chime on the mobile phone so that you don't need to be overly focused on holding the structure. And then how it goes is that we really have in this practice the roles divided by who is sharing, speaking, and who is listening. And this gives you both the capacity and the time that you can first connect to yourself, then share what is happening inside of you, and also that you can just be focused on listening, on taking in, and at the same time also stay in touch with yourself while listening. How it goes is then that one partner starts sharing, and you can simply start with your momentary experience, sharing how you feel, what's your experience of being in the body, how it feels to sit here. I have another meditation video that also can give you some suggestions and ideas how to deepen this practice of checking in with your momentary experience. So it's a bit like meditating with open eyes while somebody is listening to you. If you have agreed on a specific topic, you can also take the time to share about that and what's happening for you in that, what's important for you about that, what comes up while you speak and you're sitting opposite to your partner. What's important here is that this is not the usual way of communication where we go into a discussion or trying to convince the other or even speaking to the other so that you are really convinced about what I'm saying. What makes this efficient is if you take the time to really check in with yourself, to not even having to fill the time with just speaking, but that you take time to check and then to just use your words to kind of describe how you feel about what you're checking in with, what comes up to your mind, or even how your body is feeling while speaking. So it's not so much about referring to the other, but really just allowing yourself to share what you see and meet inside yourself, and then just to bring that into words as much as you can. So this brings us now to the other part, which is a very, very important part in communication. So the other partner now is not the time for you to have a pause and rest, but you're also in an active part, but it's actively listening. So when you're in that role, you listen and you kind of like take in. And that means, again, that you're actively present with your partner and also checking in with yourself. How does that feel? What do you notice in yourself when you listen? The best way how you can do that is to really be there, have your eyes open, stay in eye contact. See if you can have your body kind of like in an open posture, and to resist the many moments where you would like to comment, say something, even maybe make physical gestures that would either signal an agreement or a disagreement. So if you can really find a place where you just listen, like music or the sounds of nature, and to let it all happen in yourself without immediately responding or reacting. Because that's the moment where we normally in communication get entangled. Somebody says something, I have an immediate reaction, I respond on it or react on it, and then we get entangled. So we slow this down here so that you can actually feel what's happening while you're listening to your partner. One thing to make it a bit more alive is that you don't have to try to be perfectly present and become like a stone Buddha in front of the other and stare at the other. Be alive, but also just signal your willingness to really listen while you're in the role of the listener. So whenever there is the time or the sound of the gong to change the roles, you can make it a little ritual to really thank each other, either by saying thank you or make a little bow to each other. That helps you both to really feel that you're changing the roles from speaking to listening. The whole practice as such is really a support to give you the experience of having a sacred space to each other where you can find a new connection and a new way of hearing and listening to each other. So it's very good if you're doing this in a way that you're undisturbed. So don't do it while being busy with something else, while the kids are running around or just on the kitchen table. Really set aside time and space for that, and that you will be undisturbed for it. And this is not primarily a place where you can solve your conflicts. First of all, it's a practice that if you have been a bit disconnected and don't find the ways to really feel each other anymore, that you come together and just share what's on your heart and how you feel. That creates often already much more connection than we find in other ways. If you get more skilled with it and you're getting kind of grounded in the practice, you can then also use it to bring in topics maybe that are difficult or explorations that you want to go through together. And maybe there are specific topics you want to exchange about. So you can use that as the basic tool for speaking about things that otherwise maybe become difficult. Now you know the basics of the practice. Just a few more reminders. So it's really important that you agree before you start on the duration of the time, on the distribution of the roles, who is the timekeeper. And I would also suggest, if you are maybe discussing things that are difficult or a bit charged, that you agree beforehand to not discuss what has been shared, what you heard and what you said after the practice for another 24 hours. Because it's very easy to bring something in that's a bit more delicate and it's good to share, but then the practice ends, you go back into your normal mode of speaking with each other, and suddenly you discuss and you entangled again. So if you want to really treat it as a sacred space, make an agreement to not share about it for 24 hours until the dust settles a little bit, and then you can pick up whatever is important after that time. So if you're looking for a way to create new connection in your relationship, I would really recommend picking up this practice as a regular routine in your relationship life. Like make it a regular date and time, maybe once a week or even twice a week. And you can go with specific questions, but in the beginning I would suggest really go just with the momentary experience. You can even add at the beginning of the 5-minute intervals, where the one that is listening ask the partner the question of, tell me, what's your experience in this moment right now? And then what you do, if you're the partner that will share, is just to go through what's happening in you right now. And as I said, it's like meditating with open eyes while your partner is there to support you and to listen to your stream of what's happening. And this is really a fun way to get to know each other in a new way, and maybe hear things and discover things about yourself and your partner that you hadn't known before. So I hope this brings you some new inspiration and that you get the desire to practice with your partner. So have fun and enjoy the practice.